This is the iPad mini 7th gen, or what Apple calls the A17 Pro, and this is the iPad mini 6th generation. And I want to share my thoughts and opinion about both of these devices, but I also want to answer a question that some people may have right off the bat. If you have the iPad mini 6th generation, should you pick up the 7th? And my answer is going to be no. Obviously, since I talk about tech here, I am going to pick up the latest iPad mini that's on the market, or latest iPhone, or latest Samsung, whatever it is. But if you have an iPad mini 6, don't pick up the 7th. Anyway, let's talk about the main changes here. When we look at the design from the back, different color, and I got the light blue, like baby blue color right here to kind of showcase that, hey, I have the new iPad mini. But also, if you look at the inscription on the bottom, there's iPad mini right here with the 7th gen and just iPad for the 6th gen. So I'm happy that they put mini. Other than that, everything else about the design is pretty much the same. Whether you look at it from the side or the front, it's essentially an iPad mini, pretty much the same dimensions and everything like that. So there is that no other huge change with the design. Apple Pencil Pro support is only here with the iPad mini 7, and then just Apple Pencil support for the iPad mini 6. If you have an Apple Pencil 2 like I do right here, which is actually engraved, and there's my cat who's currently walking in to the studio, into my office right here. Hey there. If you have one of this, it's not going to work with the iPad mini 7th gen. Now, iPad mini Apple calls A17 Pro. That's the new chipset here, and it comes with a 6-core CPU, which is 30% faster than the A15 Bionic chipset that's found in the iPad mini 6, which is also the same chipset in the iPhone 13 series. It also has a 5-core GPU, which is 25% faster than the 5-core GPU in the iPad mini 6. Now, there's also things like hardware accelerated ray tracing and hardware accelerated mesh shading. When it comes to RAM, we're getting 8 gigs with the 7 and 4 gigs of memory of RAM with the iPad mini 6. And that's kind of to help with Apple Intelligence, which is not going to be available when it does come out for the iPad mini 7, and obviously not for the 6. It looks like what the requirements for Apple Intelligence are at least having an A17 Pro and 8 gigs of RAM, and that's what the iPad mini 7 has. It also obviously has dynamic caching and a 16-core neural engine, which is 2 times faster than the iPad mini 6. And jelly scrolling. Let's talk about that, because that's an issue that a lot of people had with the iPad mini 6. And I'll be honest with you, it only annoyed me when I would think about it. And I'll be honest with you, 99% of the time, I didn't even care. And I've been using it since day one, since 2021, when it came out in September of that year. And it didn't annoy me at all. Now, putting it side by side, it still slightly has that jelly scoring. It's less significant, but it's slightly there upon using it more. In my unboxing and first impressions, it didn't really look like that, but obviously putting it head to head, it definitely is still there. And I'm actually going to put a segment right now where I slow down the footage so you can see. So for the most part, it's not as bad as the 6th generation, but it's still there. So, I mean, if that's going to sway you away from kind of getting the iPad mini 7, I guess wait until the iPad mini 8th gen or an iPad mini Pro, if that ever does come into fruition, and Apple implements an OLED display with 120 Hertz, then I guess wait for it. But if it's not going to be too much of a huge issue, then yes, the display on the iPad mini is still pretty good. 500 nits of peak brightness, not the greatest, but you get over it. I don't really use it outdoors too often, so it's not too much of an issue for me. With the cameras, because that's another change here with the cameras, I mean, I haven't taken a single photo with the iPad mini 6, just for testing purposes. I did at the very beginning, then never touched it. So the main difference is Smart HDR4 with the iPad mini 7th gen versus Smart HDR3. And that's really it. So you're going to get a little bit more vivid photos and results with the iPad mini 7th gen. But I mean, if you're going to use this if this is your main device and you want to start making content, then yeah, you know, it's going to be a decent camera, but I don't think anyone's picking up an iPad mini to take photos and videos. You also do get Bluetooth 5.3 with the iPad mini 7 versus Bluetooth 5.0 with the 6, and then Wi-Fi 6E connectivity for the 7, and then Wi-Fi 6 connectivity for the iPad mini 6. Now there's a change with the cellular. You only get eSIM with the iPad mini 7th gen, and then you get regular nano SIM, or you can get eSIM with the iPad mini 6th gen. And honestly, like, I really don't want eSIM. So for right now, I didn't pick up the cellular, but if Apple does make a mini Pro, I'm going all in on a cellular model. Now here's the thing, they both have USB-C, but the iPad mini 7th gen has USB-C 3.1 Gen 2 port, so it's 2 times faster with data transfers up to 10 gigabits per second, whereas the iPad mini 6th gen has that Gen 1 port, data transfers up to 5 gigabits per second. So if you're using for data transfers, you get faster speeds with the 7th gen. Like I said at the beginning, Apple Pencil Pro support with the 7th gen, and then Apple Pencil for the 6th gen, and obviously you get Apple Pencil Hover because of that Pencil Pro support. What I also do appreciate is the fact that Apple made the base storage 128 gigs on the iPad mini 7 versus 64 gigs for the iPad mini 6, and their base price is still at $499. So for $499, you're getting double the storage, and they also have a 512 gig storage model, so that is something I really do appreciate. And that's really the huge differences. Now that we went through all of the changes in the iPad mini 7 versus the 6th gen, let's kind of put this right over here and talk about the 7th gen. Like I said at the beginning of the video, if you have this 6th gen right here, probably shouldn't pick up the 7th gen. But if you are out in the market looking for a new iPad mini, I would go and pick up the iPad mini 7th gen over the 6th gen, unless you get like a super good deal. You just kind of, I wouldn't call it future-proofing either, but you're getting a iPad mini that's up to date with the A17 Pro, 8 gigs of RAM. If you're really interested in Apple Intelligence on your iPad, you're getting that too. You get Apple Pencil Pro support. In fact, like, this has Apple Pencil Pro support. This has A17 Pro, and it's also getting support for Final Cut Pro. Maybe this might be a gateway or an entranceway or whatever you want to call it, a path to a potential iPad mini Pro. I don't know, but I'm happy with the iPad mini 7. It's 3 years. This was not the update that I was looking forward to, but nonetheless, we still got an update to an iPad mini, so I'm happy for that. I'm happy that we still got some of those updates that we did speak about with the updated chipset and faster connectivity and all that stuff. But this is not the greatest update, especially in that time frame. 3-year difference. You're essentially not getting any huge difference. And here's the thing, you didn't really need to get a design change difference either, because from the 5th gen to the 6th gen, we already got the design overhaul. Yes, maybe you can make the bezels a tad bit slimmer. You can add ProMotion 120 hertz display, make it OLED, add a thicker chassis to house a larger battery and all of that stuff. But we didn't get that in 3 years. We didn't get that. So hopefully with the next generation, we do get that. But in the meantime, I don't think we're going to get it. So we're just going to have to make do with what we got with the current iPad mini 7th gen. And I do hope that Apple does not discontinue the mini lineup. It's either two things: they continue it or they don't. And I just really hope they continue. There are a lot of people that really want an iPad mini Pro, or they just want the iPad mini lineup to continue. And look, I've made countless videos of the iPad mini 6th gen. This is my favorite product of all time. Favorite product I've purchased, not even for the channel, just for myself of all time. And getting a successor to that favorite product, the iPad mini 7th gen, I'm going to be using this all the time. I am going to be using this whether I go on trips, whether it's at home, whether I'm at a coffee shop or whatever it may be. This is going to be my iPad. I don't have any other iPad. I don't have an iPad Pro. I don't have an iPad 10th gen or an iPad Air. I just have an iPad mini, and it does iPad things for me. It's great. It's phenomenal, but I hope you guys did enjoy this video. It's kind of late for me, so I'm gonna end it off here, but definitely be sure to check out my latest wallpaper pack. It's called Illusions. Links will be in the description down below, and definitely be sure to subscribe to the channel as we are working our way towards 45,000 subscribers. That's my goal for the end of 2024. I hope we can get there. We can make it happen. I'm also on my other socials, 42,000 plus on TikTok, and working my way up there as well. And also on Twitter and Instagram and Threads as well. Definitely links will be in the description down below if you want to check them out. And definitely be sure to comment down below your thoughts about iPad mini in general, if you're going to pick up the 7th gen or if you're content with the 6th gen. And best of all, share this video because it really does help out the channel out a lot and will help push my content out to more people. That's been it for me, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode.